Okay, good evening, everybody. Welcome to our first interim council meeting this council year. Do we have anybody for the public session? Okay. Apologies for absence. Apologies for councillor Drayton. Thank you very much. We accept those.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Declarations of interest. Any declarations of any personal or prejudicial interest under consideration on this agenda? Okay, excellent. Item 3, signing the declaration of acceptance of office, to note that all outstanding declarations have been signed in advance of this meeting.
Good.
Noted, yeah.
Yeah.
And then we move to item 4, which is to receive presentations from the following candidates for the coalition to our 2 vacancies. 4.1 will be co-opted one councillor from the candidates to represent Buckingham North, and 4.2 to co-opt 1 candidate from the remaining candidates to represent Buckingham South. The candidates are Mr. Roger Muir, Mr. Michael Moyes, and Mr. Russell Pope. Is it Pope or Pop? Oh, Poppy. Okay, thank you very much. I wasn't sure. I should have checked beforehand. So I'll just briefly run through how this is going to work. So in a moment, I'll ask Michael and Russell to leave the room, and they'll go with Steve while Roger does his presentation. After he's done his presentation, councillors will have the opportunity to ask 1 question of that candidate. Please make sure that this is relevant and succinct, and don't repeat similar questions to ones that have been previously asked. Once we've finished the question and answer session, I will ask that candidate to leave and the next one to come in. So they'll go in the order of Roger, Michael, and then Russell. Once all 3 have made their presentations, we will vote firstly to co-opt for Buckingham North, because that's the post-elections vacancy that we've advertised for, because we were short on numbers at the actual election, and then following that for Buckingham South, which is vacancy made by Councillor Roger who resigning. The voting will be by a show of hands, where where more than 2 persons have been nominated for a position to be filled, so this is standing orders. None of those persons have received an absolute majority of votes in their favour. The name of the person having the least number of votes shall be struck off the list and a fresh vote taken. That's in the first instance. In the second instance, it will be between the remaining candidates. The process shall continue until the majority of votes is given in favour of 1 person. A tie in votes may be settled by the casting vote, exercisable by the chair of the meeting, which isn't. Okay, so everybody understand?
Yeah.
So I shall ask Mike and Russell to leave the room with Steve, and then invite Roger. If you'd like to come down to the end.
Thank you. Good
Evening, Roger.
As some of you all know, I was a planning officer at Aylesbury Vale for nearly 40 years, and since leaving, I now work for myself, and I advise both the private and public sector. In the last 3 years, I've been working with the Buckingham and Working Group, and myself and your former deputy clerk, will also be on the boat that goes with the document. which the inspector, I think, was very pleased with, so that was quite good. So if you select me, then what I would hope to do on behalf of Buckingham is to help the town council formulate responses to future growth, not only with the forthcoming Buckinghamshire Council local plan, because we will more than likely have a lot of development proposed with our town and surrounding villages. There's also the prospect of Cambridge to Oxford Park, which will again be more development, social impact on Buckingham, and we need as a town council to actually formulate our responses so that we can explain the powers that be that we do need. We need more infrastructure if we're going to have growth. Because one thing that I know everybody's concerned about is the time it's taking for the new health centre to start to be built, and which was, when I was there, we approved it as part of the Lansdowne's urban plan 20 years ago. So it's just ridiculous that it's taking all this time to be done. So I think, hopefully with my sort of knowledge and experience, and I think what do formulate responses to this forthcoming deluge that we're likely to get. The other thing that I'm concerned about in relation to Buckingham is road safety, particularly pedestrians, because I feel that our present highway authority are more concerned with cleaning potholes than they are for assisting pedestrians. Because wherever I walk, on Badgers, if I walk up to Aldi, there's no crossing between Badgers and Midway. Then you walk around the ring road and it's all overgrown. Similarly, you go along the London road to the school and the hedges are all overgrown. So they don't actually maintain these things to help pedestrians who are now supposedly in the new highway codes. Number one, we're first. If we walk somewhere, we have right of way. And it just, so this is one of my things. The other thing that I'm concerned about is the historic town centre with the amount of traffic. So I think we need to look at how we improve the quality of the town centre by some way of removing heavy goods vehicles. If you go into the banking book, a lot of mornings, you've got HGVs going past and down Church Street, Brackley Road, all the way into town. And I think this is something that it's a lot of people. So they're my main interests in the town, and to hopefully make it a better community. So thank you very much.
Thank you, okay. Anybody got any questions? Hands up. Howard, Councillor.
Because all the personal details are being redacted, can you say whether you live in the north or the south ward?
South, well, I'm on Badgers, so I think that's south.
Just south is fine.
Yeah.
Councillor Ahmed.
Are you a member of any political party or have any political affiliations?
I am.
Are you going to say which one?
Is it relevant? With all due respect.
No, he's trying
Who's with that interest?
Well, I'm a member of the trade union.
Okay.
So, I'm a member of the trade union, it's not just my workplace.
Okay.
So,
Councillor Sturchbury.
Yeah, firstly, thank you for putting yourself forward. Definitely, I was interested in the points around the footways and traffic issues, which have been mounting over probably 2 generations. I'm pleased that you mentioned that. One of the issues which the town council will encounter in these issues is new developments, and the way that new developments can sometimes have a determined positive interest on improving other areas of the town. And I'd just be interested, you think that's something you could help us look at, because every pound towards these matters, and it's about long-term planning.
Yeah, well, if one of the problems that we have at the minute is that the money we take off the developer, the Section 96 agreement, which they still use at Buckingham Council, is that the money has to be mentioned in the agreement for specific use. So if there's money left over at the end of 10 years and that hasn't been spent, then it goes back. Whereas if you had, whether it's called not a bridge tax or something called
So,
that money stays in a pot. So the sooner that Buckinghamshire Council adopts seal, then the better for everybody really. But you can, I think with the OCR Bay development, I think they're providing footpaths from there, hopefully right through to the ring road, and then linking up with paths into the town centre. And I think there's, my recollection is going to be a pelican crossing on the ring road somewhere, which is good. So yeah, I think we just need to ensure that the links that are there, pedestrian links in particular, work. Because the amount of times you see a footpath going somewhere and it doesn't join us. Yeah, it's like the current ring road, there's footpaths on part of it. So if you go up to Aldi and you think, oh, walk straight onto Gorcott Road, there's no footpath. I mean, that was built years ago, so it's, you know, that's what's happened, but those sort of things matter.
Yeah.
So really, when they did those away, what should have been asked for was a footpath all the way along one side.
Yeah.
So you can go from, say, the Gorcott Hill Road out around the ring road.
thank you.
Councillor Jane Morgie.
Yes, I've been working on the Buckingham Neighbourhood Development Plan, and I just wanted to know what bit of that do you think is most going to help us fight off this deluge?
I don't even find what to do. You can hopefully frame it. So if they say to you, you know, 2,000 houses, then rather than saying no, you know, and having them imposed, it's probably how can we do this ourselves? So what sites can we look at to put forward, which will be for the best benefit of, you know, the residents, if it's in proposed, and the town as a whole.
Let's try.
Roger, why did you wait till now to put yourself forward and not join in with the main councillor elections?
I don't know. I just thought everybody who was on there would be re-elected. I wouldn't want to put them in toes, but then when it was suggested to me that I'm on fields of vacancy, I thought, why not?
Thank you.
Any other questions? Thank you very much, Mr. Neal.
Thank
If you'd
you.
like to ask Mr. Moyes if you would come in, please. Thank you very much.
Have those.
Hi.
We have all of that.
Right.
Good evening, Mr. Moyes. Mr. Michael Moyes. So would you like to tell us a bit about yourself and why you're
Yeah, I put most of it in what I actually wrote. This is something I've always wanted to do for quite some time, but my business and my lifestyle has not really left me much time to actually do this now. So I felt that I should probably get this to go now, because I can actually put some time into it and not worry about other things. In addition to the things that I put on my form, I've recently also volunteered with the local radio station, 3B's Radio. So I'm doing something on there as well. So I'm trying to keep myself busy in the community and trying to keep saying what's going on. And only that's my presentation because I didn't really plan.
Okay, Councillor Troy has a question.
Thank you. Why did you decide to put yourself forward now and not at the main council of elections?
It sort of passed me by. I have to admit to that. It's again, as I said, it has been on my mind. People have said to me before you should be a town councillor, and I've always thought I don't really have enough time. But things have changed quite recently. The way that my business works and things that I do and other things that I'm doing in my life. It's I've certainly got more time, and that's just what you said you need. Time. It's trying to chase time. Simply was time.
Thank you.
Councillor Jane Morty.
Yes, so what sort of skills, what sort of particular experience do you think you can bring to the town council?
Again, as I said, I've organised music in the market. I've spoken at various meetings, I've chaired meetings, I'm familiar with the processes around that. I think this is obviously quite different. There's a learning curve with it. But I think I might have a different perspective to something. I like to think I do. How different? That's hard to say because generally I don't think like a lot of other people, which gets me into trouble sometimes. Maybe I have a different outlook on things. I don't really know. It's just something I want to do, and it's become more of a passion than just a want to do. I want to be here. I want to do something with that.
Councillor Stretchbury.
Firstly, thank you very much for coming. And I know two things: your long-standing interest in well-being of the town in the entertainment of it. I'm always keen for that. Would you see yourself taking a keen interest in innovating to bring forward different ideas? You said you don't think like anyone else. That's always a good thing to have somebody who doesn't think like everybody else. Because quite often they bring up things that nobody else has thought, because they repeat what's been said before. The other thing which we asked before, you will be aware that there's the emerging neighbourhood plan, and the importance of that, and the importance of how we land that plan for the well-being of the community. Do you envisage, it's wrong to say be involved in it because it's gone out to a stage, but when it comes to the explaining it, do you envisage getting involved in the outcomes of that to make sure that we use the policies within it as a collective to make sure that those policies protect firstly the town and secondly the plan's objectives?
I think, again, as I said in my document, there were two areas that I was particularly interested in, and that's the Town Centre Events Committee, and surprisingly to myself, the Planning Committee. I found that quite interesting. I just find it quite interesting, and so yes, if that's, as I understand what you're saying, that is part of that. That is definitely something that I would be very interested in being part of.
Thank you. Thank you.
I've got Councillor Schaefer.
My question has been answered, thank you.
Okay. Did you have a question?
You said, well, obviously, an accomplished musician, you could be playing professionally at Warren's Hotels.
Yeah.
Will that impinge on your time spent with town council? And also, I'd like to know which ward you actually live in.
I live in Buckingham South, and the professional side of music is generally at the weekend. So that would be band at the moment, it's usually on Friday. So that's sort of 1 day a week per month. We probably do about 2 a month maximum. There's not a huge amount. Probably overstating. The rest of the professionals, I still have to know.
Any other questions? Okay, thank you, Mike. And if you would like to ask Russell to come in, thank you very much. Good evening,
Good
Russell.
evening.
How are you?
I'm very well, thank you. So,
Good, thank you. Yes, okay, so would you like to tell us a bit more about yourself and your reasons for coming for co-option this evening?
do that. Yes, if I may just briefly introduce myself then. My name's Russell Poppy. I've lived in Buckingham for around about 20 years. To be honest, I never really intended to stay here that long. I stopped off on the way back to Suffolk where I was brought up, but 20 years later, here I am. And the reason for that is because I genuinely love living in Buckingham. Enjoy the sense of community that we have here, the festivals, the events, the open spaces, parks, the facilities we have here, history, all those wonderful things, which is quite remarkable for a relatively small town, I think. And quite easy to take those things for granted, but they don't happen by magic. Well, at least I assume they don't. Otherwise, I might be a bit underqualified. So really, I'm looking to give something back to the town. That's a bit of a cliche, I know. I'd like to play an active role in making sure all of those things can be maintained and sustained into the future, perhaps even improved, possibly. I do work full time. The majority of our community, I think, does work or is in education, so I think it's quite important that we're well represented at council level. I can see plenty of young faces around the table, so perhaps that's not quite so relevant. And I have...
Real getting
Just wait for that. I do work. I have some good experience on senior leadership teams across the businesses that I've worked at. But to be honest, I have no council experience at all. So if I was successful this evening, you might have to bear with me while I learn the ropes and ask a few silly questions. But sometimes a silly question turns out to be not quite so daft after all, and it might offer a fresh perspective on things. So, which I hope this is what I could bring. So that's essentially me. Thank you for your time. Welcome to questions.
Councillor Suchbury and Councillor Trial.
Firstly, thank you so much for putting yourself forward for this position. And you mentioned your love of community activities and events and wellbeing of the town. Could you firstly elaborate a little bit more on how you see that? You don't worry about silly questions; they're part of it. Life. Quite often, silly questions you said sometimes is the actual relevant question in the end. And lastly, you will be aware that there's been an awful lot of work done by the previous council on preparing the local neighbourhood plan. Would you envisage getting an understanding of that and seeing how we can, as a collective, look after the intentions of the neighbourhood plan against the ambitions that may challenge it, to be brief?
Okay, yeah, I think on the community events, I support so far has been to just try and be involved and be there and be present. I think that all of those things that Christmas parade is my particular favourite, but the fireworks, the band jams, and all these great things, the things that help bring the community together. And I think with the development of the neighbourhood plan, of course, there are planning and environmental issues and things that go along with that. But part of the challenge, perhaps, is where Buckingham is developing beyond its sort of current perimeters. It's how we bring those people, those communities into the town, make it all part of the town as well. I think that's ensuring those areas have good access to the town, that access, cycling access. So traffic challenges here as well, but allowing that the whole of the towns together. So answer your question.
It does. Thank you very much.
So Councillor Trial and then Councillor Shane.
Thank you very much. We've just had a full election, and your name didn't appear in that, I don't think. Why did you wait till now, just in case there was a spare slot afterwards?
So I came across this opportunity because I looked on the Town Council website for volunteering responses, looked for a way of getting involved, and saw the opportunity there. And I thought, well, that's probably the ultimate way of getting involved. I'm going to help be part of that team that's helping to shape things. So I've never had any particular political ambitions or sort of ambitions to join the council before, but thinking it through, it seems like a good thing for me to do, to really get involved and play an active role.
Mr. Sheffield.
Thank you for coming. In your application, you mentioned that you have an interest in the environmental challenges that the town faces and helping to work on that. Can you give us an example? What, I mean, is there anything anything specific that you have in mind that you would like to
Oh, well, I think I
become
probably
involved in?
mention the traffic side of things, which is a challenge as we have more houses, more cars, more people. How that's managed as well. Also ensuring we have sensible developments, aware of the situation in Maid's Morton. Maybe having some input into that side of things, just to make sure that it's what we're doing is sensible and fits in with the picture of what we want Buckingham to be in the future.
Thank you.
Councillor Howard Lodge.
You say you enjoy running around Bolton Park. All right. Quick walking round Bolton Park. Do you think that's improved over the years or got worse, or what sort of improvements would you like to see in the park? And also, which ward do you actually live in?
So I live in the North Ward, some place up of Western Avenue, and the park isn't very well maintained, I think. Perhaps if there was an improvement we could make, maybe to allow the cyclists and the pedestrians and dog walkers and slow runners to maybe separate it in some ways. But obviously the facilities there for everybody.
Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, you mentioned in your application that you're a membership secretary of the Buckingham Society.
Yes.
Do you belong to any other local organisations? Do you have any other professional or political affiliations that would help us to know?
No political affiliations at all. A member of the National Trust, so obviously found around stable plays and places like that. Professionally, I'm a chartered engineer by profession, so I'm a member of the IET work, but other than that.
Okay, thank you.
I've got one small question. Apart from the Buckingham Society, is there any other local voluntary organisations that you're involved with?
The only other one I've been involved with to some extent is a charity called Dogs for Good, which is mostly sort of based up more around Toaster Way. It's a charity that provides dogs for people that perhaps have learning disabilities or autism and things like that, as opposed to guide dogs. So I've done a little bit of charity work with those.
And in what respect?
Simple things, just collection tins and manning the stalls at the fetes and things like that.
Thank you. Any other questions? Thank you very much. If you could
Thank you.
wait outside and we'll call you back through shortly.
Thank you.
Okay, so we move on to the votes for Buckingham Ward, the first instance. And by show of hands, firstly from Mr. Roger Newell, all those in favour, vote to Mr. Roger Newell.
That's 10.
And then for Mr. Mike Moyes, and Mr Russell Poppy.
Just for North. Yeah.
Or just for North?
Oh,
Oh,
Okay.
Yeah, still for North.
Can we vote twice?
No,
No.
Oh,
but we're
Okay.
looking southwards next, so.
Okay. Yeah. Sorry.
So I think that means that Roger Newell is voted in for the
Northwood, yeah.
North Ward. So then we move on to the South Ward. Was there any abstention, sorry? The South Ward then, in the first instance, Mr Michael Moyes. Okay, and Mr Russell Poppy. I miscounted something there, I didn't put my hand up. Okay, so that's 10. Okay, so I think we have two councillors.
What do you have?
Thank you. John, can you?
Yeah, I don't make this.
Come in?
Yeah. All three days, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
just positions.
Yeah.
Being.
So firstly, I'd like to thank all three candidates for two vacancies for their submissions from here for answering questions. Firstly, I'd like to congratulate Roger Newell being our new councillor for Buckingham North Ward, and Russell Poppy being our new councillor for Buckingham South Ward. I will commiserations to Mr Moyes. You were a very strong candidate, as were the other three, and it was
Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you. We hope we will see you soon as the other events, etc. Thank you. Please keep in touch. So do the councillors sign their declarations now? If you want to stay in here the rest of the planning, etc. The rest of this meeting, like and once the other two have signed their declarations, they can take a seat at the table. And continue with the Please, councillors, remember we are still live. Oh, they're just listening off.
No, it's not.
Oh.
Yeah.
You looked at it wrong, Robin.
His Doctor Who sonic screwdriver he's got there, not a pen.
No, sir.
If I had those sort of powers chat with you, all how to solve everything.
Oh, will we? Oh.
Please, join us at the table. Okay, so we carry on with the agenda. The next item is the bridge tender recommendation from the Environment Agency. We need to talk through this at all. Has everybody had a chance to read through the tendering process and the information supplied to us by the Green Spaces Manager? Okay, councillor Slippery.
Yeah, firstly, I'd like to propose that we accept the recommendations. There was a full and frank and lengthy discussion all the options in the Environment Committee, led by the chair of the Environment Committee. I felt that everything was discussed in length, explanations were given, and this is at the end of a long process which involved planning and the rights of way to get to this point. In enabling, if we agree this tonight, it enables our officers to action this in the weather while it's dry. And obviously the damage thereafter hopefully will be less to the park sense of recovery. So I propose we accept the recommendation.
Thank you.
I was going to second it.
Lisa had her hand up.
Thank you, Anne.
So seconded by Lisa. Anything else to say on that? That's try.
Only to thank the office for putting such a great evaluation criteria together, and it's made it a lot clearer.
Yeah.
So full marks for the office.
Thank you.
Excellent. So we move to a vote on that. All those in favour of agreeing to the recommendation, and that is unanimous. Thank you.
Yeah.
My hand was up.
Still.
Okay, the next is the annual interim auditors report, annual governance and accountability return and the accounting statements. The town clerk, you going to talk us through these?
Yes, I am. So this is the results of this year's internal audit. I am happy to say he's said yes to everything, except for those that are not applicable. He has raised no issues or concerns on any part of the AGAR. The two minor issues, the observations, which is on page 21. I have put my comments in there as to those. One of those was that we haven't reviewed the effectiveness of our internal control system. We did it in April, not in March. We did it in the council year. He suggested it should have been done in the financial year. It's we'll move it back for next year, but it has obviously already been done. And there was an issue, unfortunately, and this I'm very upset about, and I'm very sorry. There was an issue with number of staff's pay. It has been corrected and the apology has been made. Otherwise, there were no other faults or failures that he could find.
Okay, I believe Councillor Harvey was first.
Yeah, I propose, well, I want to say thanks to the clerk and all the team doing such a good job that we've got to this point.
Yeah.
And secondly, propose that we accept all of these en bloc.
Please, could we possibly do them one at a time? I need an individual minute.
Okay.
It's
I'm easy.
audit, thanks, sorry.
Yeah. I propose we accept each one on.
I think I've got Councillor Schaefer next and then Councillor Stutcher.
I was just going to propose the same thing, so I'm happy to second it, and I would like to add my thanks and congratulations to the office team for putting all this together and for making sure we are a council that is in good financial order, because I think this is really important.
Yeah. Thank you. Councillor Stutcher.
I think it is worth noting that when it comes to audit, it is a big day for the council and there's an awful lot of work goes into it. Not only the preparation to it and the work within the office, I think we should record our, which said our thanks to what's going. Also, it's worth noting, since this council's grown, the amount of money we are looking after is larger than it once was. The amount of land that we're responsible for is larger than it once was. That will probably continue, and it's not every council can say that in 2025 they're agreeing their audit of accounts for the current year that they're in. We'll probably find nationally this isn't the case. So I think that's credit to us that we are not got other accounts which need auditing. So good news all round. These figures aren't huge when you compare them to other local Buckinghamshire Council, but they are important because they're all things that are spent in Buckingham on Buckingham people, help for the well-being of the town. So thanks has been said, but I think it's worth noting that to do this isn't no small task.
Councillor Harvey.
Yeah, sorry, I got to stand up before. Just to say two things, really. One, I've been at a conference in Ellsworth all day on place shaping, and saw Louise, our former deputy clerk, and she sends her good wishes for everybody. Do you want to relay on to you? And secondly, I asked her, I said, how are we different, how are we similar to other town councils that she's now been working with in her new role? And she said, what perhaps marks out Buckingham Town Council is that we have the resources to get things done. Unlike some town councils which have a sort of one person and a couple of part-timers, we have a good number of staff, team in-house, and we can marshal for the good and well-being of the town. And it's great to know that our resources are being so well husbanded by the town clerk and the team.
Thank you, John. Okay, we'll move on to voting on these points. 6.1 annual internal audit report, to accept this proposed by Councillor Harvey and seconded by Councillor O'Donoghue. All those in favour?
I think it was me.
Sorry, Councillor Chambers, sorry, my mistake. I apologise. All those in favour? And I think that's unanimous.
Yes, in that case, shall we, that's a sign.
Okay, please.
Slightly like way now.
Okay. 6.2 annual governance statements 24-25. Again proposed by Councillor Harvey and seconded by Councillor Schaefer. All those in favour? And that is again unanimous. 6.3 accounting statements 24-25, proposed by Councillor Harvey, seconded by Councillor Schaefer. All those in favour? And again, this, I think it was a, yeah, sorry, I didn't see your hand up. That's again unanimous. Thank you very much. And then 6.4 internal audit observations. With RFO's responses. For those who don't know, RFO is responsible financial officer. Again proposed by Councillor Harvey, seconded by Councillor Schaefer. All those in favour? That's again unanimous. Thank you. Item 7. Exercise of public rights. To note the date set by the RFO for the exercise of public rights as being Monday the 23rd of June to Friday the 1st of August 2025. Town Clerk, would you like to elaborate on that at all?
It's a formality. I need a minute to let you happy to note those days. That's about it. Well, this is the period in which the public, if they're to come in and inspect the accounts, they have the right to do it. But as we publish all of our accounts anyway, it's slightly academic. But it is a legal requirement that we set a set period for it, and they're very, very strict regulations on when it can be. So that's why the dates are there for you to see.
Okay, thank you. Councillor Sturchbury?
It has happened in the past that a member of the public has requested to come in and see the accounts in paper. They have every right to, but because of the decisions we've taken already, we have nothing to worry about if they come in and look at them. It's only when we haven't got that sort of situation that someone might be interested. So I don't envisage it, but it has happened in the past, and we should encourage people to be so diligent as that as usually be. We're accountable.
Okay. We need to go to a second I presume. So Councillor Sturchbury, proposing. Seconded by Councillor Try. All those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you very much. Item 8, to agree to the earmarked reserves. Recommended that members agree to such earmarked reserves for 25-26 financial year. Councillor Sturchbury.
Yeah, just through you, Mayor. Are the numbers approved at the end, the account numbers? Because detail of them, it's just the account number. Are they accruing to the relevant committees which put those earmark reserves in? Because some of these things are things that get drawn out by those committees at a later stage, without going through item by item by item, which wouldn't be constructive. And and is the town clerk satisfied that, will be satisfied because of the previous questions we've answered, that we are recording the earmark in the appropriate manner as per an audit? And the two questions may be contradictory, but they are important.
Yes, and yes, in the short way. I have discussed our reserves with the internal auditor. He's quite happy with the amount of assets and liabilities that we have, that we are prudent with this. We're not hoarding money. We have things that we are going to need to do repair, which is the size of the estate, which is why we're doing funds to do that. So in that sensible way of dealing with that. Earmark reserves themselves are something that is set for full council, but can be spent within the budget of what they are put aside for, and none of them have credit unions. It's very obvious what they're there for. I have written a rationale for each individual one next to it, which hopefully should explain why I've recommended it at the level that it is. I don't think there's anything in there that's particularly stopping or different from what we've done in the past. Some of these we deliberately budgeted to top up that earmark reserve, so that's simply what I've done in
Okay. Anybody else got a question before I come back to Councillor Sturchbury? No.
Yeah, through you and Matt, I think we just got two brand new members of the council. Thank you for joining us. We've also got newly members of the council who joined us since May. I think it perhaps would be good at some point for an explanation around what the earmark reserves, how they become there, what they're there for, and how the council, why the council puts things in. I think it's something that just for information, so when they're on equal basis, when we're discussing earmark reserves in a committee, they're not asking why, because they'll already know the answer and can then play an active role in their voting or decisions around that. And would that be unreasonable?
I'm just wondering, Councillor, Roger Newell and Poppy have access to the agenda for this meeting?
No.
At the moment?
Yes.
There is an explanation on this agenda item. If I read it out, that might answer Councillor Sturchbury's question. 2.1, each year council agrees to ring fence money into earmark reserves. These are different from the general reserve, as they're to cover expenditure which is planned. There are two general uses of earmarked reserves. For a specific project such as the removal of the old bridge in Portland Park, this project was budgeted to take place in the last financial year, but due to delays in moving the right of way, the project will now take place in this financial year. Therefore, it has been recommended to move the money budgeted into an earmarked reserve. The second use is to build a war chest ready for future expense. A good example of this is the play area replacement fund. Each year, money is budgeted to be added to this fund, ready for when each play area requires a replacement. Buckingham Town Council owns a number of assets and it's prudent budgeting to put the money aside, ready for a replacement and repair. Therefore, this report recommends saving money for known future expenditure. And then it goes on at the bottom, it lists the earmarked reserves as they stand and what's planned for next year. Okay. So I propose that we accept this.
Yeah.
Seconded by Councillor Sturchbury. Yes. Okay, all those in favour? And that's unanimous. Thank you. So the next agenda item is representatives on,
Always away street naming.
oh yeah, Asian Street name. We've got document for that.
No, it is very,
Okay.
very straightforward.
Right.
At this stage, all Catherine would like to know is, do you want her to put together some lists for individual, well, the phases, I think, when you're explained. Do you want individual names for 2, 3 and 4, or would you like one overall theme for phases 2, 3 and 4?
Okay, Councillor Stuxbury,
Yeah.
Councillor Harvey.
I think one of the things we managed to achieve over a number of years is appropriate names for developments like Twickenham Way, was named Twickenham Way because it was be a rugby pitch, and it never ended up as a rugby pitch, and because the district council didn't take it forward at the time, and then you have like Lace Hill, was named after the lace trade in Buckingham, and Kinget Road is named after Saxon heritage because of St Rumbold. So I think it would be worth having a bit of discussion around it to make sure that we don't repeat some of the repetitive names which are in other communities. We try to make sure that whatever name is brought forward by the members is agreed fully by the members and reflects the town that we live in. I think a bit of discussion and some information around that would be good. And I also think it doesn't include somebody who's got a strong view on names to come forward with an alternative. But I think the thing that we've managed to do in Buckingham is make sure recent years that names reflect activities and things which took place. And of course, Whitehead Way, of course, was named after Mr. Whitehead, who was a shepherd, who always chair of the Royal District Council, and needless to say, that's why it's all named after sheep, because of Mr. Whitehead. So, so I think we've managed to sort of recognise significant people and whatever and names in the town. I hope that that would be the way we go forward. I know whatever Catherine prepared would be really good.
Should clarify, Catherine, whether if you decide if you want common theme or Catherine will email around for guidance. So
Yeah.
for ideas, and then we'll put it back to the
I was understanding what I was saying because it wasn't in the paperwork about it needed to be expressed.
Councillor Harvey.
I guess I've got 2 points. One is the question is that because phase 1 was mostly in Rolstock Parish, I think they had bragging rights over what the roads should be called.
Okay.
So I think it's just to be reminded of what that theme was. And I think secondly, to decide on that basis whether we have another 3 different themes or one overarching theme, but somehow perhaps this convention to the first theme that the local parish council chose. So a bit more information, but we're not actually choosing the words, the themes today, are we?
Yeah.
So a bit of information about what
Gorka did trees.
they did trees. Yeah,
Which was our suggestion, I believe.
was it?
Yeah.
We might have
That's
done
what we decided.
We discussed it and then we realised that it's mostly in Gorka. I did speak to the Gorka clerk about whether or not we wanted to have conversations about having a joint, but overall, but good they went home.
Yeah.
Okay, in which case I propose that we try and go for one overarching thing rather than 3 simple ones, because I'm not one about trees because we've already got trees in some part of Buckingham on the eastern side of that is lime and so on. So
Councillor Jane Wiltshire.
Yes, I mean, it would be very helpful to the planning committee if members would decide very soon as to whether it's one, several. And we do indeed, the councillors will remember back in March 2024, there was a list of suggested themes that was going around. So the next slightly more exciting bit will be to work out which of those themes or any others that councillors wish to use. But at the moment, it'd be very helpful to have your decision tonight on one or many, but one would be useful.
Councillor Ahmed.
Yeah, I just want to say I would second John. I think it should be the watching theme.
Stuxbury.
I'm giving you a sort of point. I'd rather wait for somebody else.
Councillor Ruth Newell.
I think it depends how many roads there are to name as to whether there's one overarching one or whether we need to split it up.
What is evident to me, sitting here when we're discussing it, from the points made, oh, some of it is in Dorset and some of it is in Buckingham. We'll realise that the residents who move into it probably think they live in Buckingham, and will probably will come to here asking questions about things to do with Buckingham, and they will be residents of Dorset. It might be something that we should discuss at a later day, whether the boundary of Buckingham actually needs to reflect the actual growth of Buckingham, because otherwise we have a situation where, if this continues, that we'll have to deliver services in Buckingham for people, and if SIL comes in and Section 106 comes in, none of that money will be supporting Buckingham, and Dorset will be the richest parish in Christendom, because they will benefit from large developments and everything, and we haven't got the same amount of outgoings and responsibilities that we've got to service with parks, open spaces and such. So I think it's something that I would hope that a proper discussion about whether it's something appropriate to do based upon the evidence would be something to look at a future date.
Certainly something to look at the future date, but that's not here and now. Anybody else got any other points or want to make any alternative? Councillor Schaefer.
I think Councillor Rosenthal raised a really good point, that it does, which had occurred to me before, does slightly depend how many streets we are talking about, because some themes might lend themselves to lots and lots and lots of names, and others maybe not quite so much.
If we take one for the other ones, about 20 to pick.
About 20 apparently for all three.
That's not the number of streets, that's the pool for the street name office.
How many streets are there? Less than 20 then.
And to visualise the different colours on the maps, because I put them up there, I got them. Possibly.
About 20 names.
Okay, so we've got a proposal from Councillor Harvey for one overarching theme. And I think that was seconded by Councillor Arnold. And so we vote on that. So all those in favour of one overarching theme. So that's everybody apart from Councillor Whitfield. And Councillor Robertson. Anybody against? And any abstentions? I think that's carried. Thank you. It's representative on outside bodies to agree with representatives for the Buckingham Community Wildlife Project and Floods Emergency Group. Now, this was held over from full council when we didn't have people forward basically for the different things, and I don't think we were all here, were we, because we were on that list. Didn't have our collective members at that point. So for those that are new to this, the council appoints representatives sit on various different outside bodies, and they are the council's representative then on that body, and the position is either for a year or 2 years generally. So you go on to those meetings and then report back with any relevant information to the group. So firstly, we were looking at the Community Wildlife Project. Have we got anybody that's interested in that?
Sorry, can I just, because my recollection was different from the last meeting, I actually thought there were three of us put our names forward. But Ruth, councillor Newell wasn't at the meeting, so then there was an action to check with councillor Newell whether she wanted to be put forward or not. Because councillor Draper was already on that group and I was volunteering to join that group as well. So it was a question of what councillor Newell's views were.
Okay, Paul was just checking.
It's an informal group, there's no restriction to the numbers on it. And although I haven't been on the town council, I've still been chairing it and doing the minutes. So it's quite crucial, I think, that I'm on it.
Yeah.
In that case, I propose that we ask councillor Newell to represent us on the Buckingham Community Wildlife Project.
Or three ones talking about, the council was also there, and the arms houses was, but this wasn't, this was deferred to this meeting.
It was a long meeting.
It was.
I mean, the notes, my notes to say be read the next interim full council. I would say, this is to a point of former town council representative. Obviously members could be a member as well, without being a full rep.
Okay, so do we look at one or two people?
We've had 3 in the past, but you're welcome to have as many as you want.
Okay, was that case if it was
Heather.
Heather and Lucy and Ruth that was the
Yeah, I think that.
we
I'll second that, if you second then.
okay.
The proposal from the chair, seconded by.
Okay, all those in favour? Excellent. That is unanimous, thank you very much. And then the climate emergency group, can I ask the committee clerk to enlighten us where we are with that?
It's the same group. It's one group, yeah.
Oh, right, yes, we have a reason that's two different
So
things. Yeah,
We did mention the alms houses because Geraldine was on that as trustee and she's no longer a councillor, so we do need one more.
You've done all of that.
Oh, okay.
I mentioned to, councillor Haydock that those were the ones that we
Right.
decided on the
Okay.
night.
Yeah.
The two that you were on.
okay, right, so that's that done. Sorted, excellent. First announcement, I don't believe I have any apart from to welcome our 2 new councillors and ask if Mr. Moyes will keep us in mind if we have another vacancy ever comes up. And then dates of next meetings, Monday the 7th of July, Monday 15th September, full council, and then interim on Monday the 13th of October. Thank you all very much. I will now close this meeting and we will move on to the planning meeting for those of you on the planning committee. To